Welcome to our next episode of
Fandom
Family
Chats.
This is a production of Family Fan Clubs on Facebook. You can find us all over Facebook. You can find us all over social media under Fandom Family Chats. Look us up, get dialed in, get plugged in, and get ready to listen to some crazy people talk crazy stuff. Welcome back to Fandom Family Chats. I'm Maureen.
I'm Jeanette.
I'm Amanda.
And we are finally back. It feels like it's been a long time. It hasn't been that long, but it feels like it's been a long time. We're back with Chicago tonight. So one Chicago University, when we talk at Med, Fire, and PD. And there's a lot going on in this Med episode, like a lot. We got right off the jump, we got a Maggie and Ben update. And I kind of like how they did that. Just a little conversation Maggie had with Sharon. I want to call her Shelly for some reason. And she had with her just to let her know, you know, I couldn't tell if he is out of the house. It sounded like he's out of the house.
I think so.
He's not speaking to her, just as I predicted last time that he was way over the top with this whole thing. Like
I feel like he's just like looking for a problem.
Yes, this is what
she shouldn't
have to look far for a problem.
It wasn't
right
that
there.
Was not. Well, I mean, I know I went into this deep. This was not a problem enough to like injure marriage.
Oh, I agree with that. I 100% agree with that. But it was a problem.
Mad, a discussion, having some kind of feelings about it. Yes. And you should have a discussion about it. And you should. But
yes,
if this little problem is going to end your marriage, I'm sorry, but maybe you shouldn't be married.
Yeah. And I don't think it will, because I think when we saw Maggie at the end with that couple, I think that was scriptural indication that they're going to mend it, that they're going to come back together.
Well, I'm done with Ben.
I hope so. I hope they do, because I know Ben makes her happy, but he really irritated me during this whole thing of how he took it. Yeah.
I was like, girl, go call Grant. He probably wouldn't throw in the towel like that. Go for it.
No, he would just ruin things automatically.
It's already ruined.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I mean, everything that they do together, he would ruin automatically.
Oh, well, that too.
We got the update on Dr. Charles and Liliana, and I love those two.
Love it.
Okay. We're going to talk about them later. But there was a time where I like actually teared up in this episode because of them. And I'm so in love with it. I can't wait to talk about it later.
Yeah.
Same.
And that's another one where we just got a little snippet at the beginning and a little snippet at the end. And I like that they're doing that, because obviously it's a medical show. They're focusing on the cases with the doctors, but I get kind of sad when I don't have more of Dr. Charles.
I know,
especially now that he's in this relationship. Like I want more of it. So
yes, yeah, I love her.
We got those updates, and we needed those from our favorite families. But this week we also had a heartbreaking family storyline that was outside of our favorite characters.
Yeah,
this was so sad.
This was awful, and I mean, grandma and grandson are brought in. It's clear from the beginning, just like, Dr. What is her name?
I just keep calling her Dr. Charles's intern. I don't know what her name is.
Sure, it's like on the tip of my tongue. Like, I want to say Quavatis, but that's like from The Resident.
Ooh, it is.
It's something like, I mean, I don't know. Dr. Charles's intern. Or she's not even an intern. She's his fellow. So we can't even call her.
Right. I did know her name at one point because I was putting in the outlines, but it's been a while since I had to do it. I do.
Anyways, she notices off the jump that he's obviously on the autism spectrum somewhere, which I think was pretty obvious. And he's having a hard time, like, understanding what is going on with grandma and what they're doing to her. And, we find out as it goes on that she's got cancer. It's metastasized. That's a hard word. To her bones. Yeah. And I mean, from that point, I mean, obviously there's nothing you can do about something like that. And poor Alexandra doesn't even know. So because she hasn't found a way to tell him. And that's just, I don't know. I don't know how you do that, because would he even fully understand what was going on?
No, because even when she said that, she has to stay there because they're going to fix her, his immediate response, and this made me cry, when he's like, did I do something wrong? Like,
I know.
Because that's what he thinks. If you're separating from me, then it must be my problem. You're not sick. You can't be sick. You're grandma. You're never going to die. And he can't grasp the concept of death, I don't think.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, her worried about, I mean, they're even trying to come up with solutions of, someone from the state step in and help him and take care of him. But like she said, he won't listen to anyone else. She's tried that before. He doesn't eat or sleep when he's with someone. So I mean, the poor lady feels like she has no other options.
Well, the other thing too is that she said we tried everything, but then only talked about group homes.
Yeah.
So it sounded to me like he doesn't, because in the end, when Dr. Charles brought in that person from the state, he was doing well with this person.
Yeah.
So I think that what she had tried was groups and homes like that, rehoming him like that, and that wasn't working. She said that was the other heartbreaking thing. She said he would bang his fists on the floor until he bled.
Yeah.
And so you got to imagine this woman is about to die, and she's thinking this is her grandson's life. He's going to bleed every day in pain and misery.
Yeah. Yeah, it was tough. And I mean, I guess I still didn't expect it to go to the next step that it did. I mean, she intentionally like overdosed him.
Yeah. I wasn't like completely shocked. I felt like I saw it coming.
Yeah.
I just kept waiting for something to happen.
Yeah.
But I was getting that feeling
through with it.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, because she immediately, as soon as he became unresponsive, like called for help. I mean, obviously, if she wanted to go through with it, you would have just pretended you were, I don't know, you would have not called for someone to come in. So, I mean, we were able to save him, thankfully.
I had a feeling because when he brought in the soda, she said after lunch. And then when they came in there, I didn't think lunch had been given yet, but the soda was drank and on the floor.
I noticed that too. Yeah.
And that's, can you imagine being her in that place where you've given your entire life for this boy? She said since he was a baby, it's been the two of them. So she's had him his entire life, and it's just been literally the two of them his entire life.
Yeah.
To feel that burden of not having any help, not having any resources for help, not even having, you have to imagine she's not getting any like monetary benefits or anything like that.
Right.
Or at least not very much. And to feel that burden and love him as much as she does and think that this was the only way to save him. She was trying to save him.
Yeah.
Which is unbelievably heartbreaking that that's what she thought would save him.
Yeah. No, it was, I mean, this was a tough one. But I mean, hopefully now that they have found someone, like you said, like he seemed to be responding well to this person they brought in. Hopefully he's going to be okay.
Yeah.
I think he will be. I think he will. I felt good about the way that we tied up that
I think that was the reason why they had Dr. Charles come in and say he appears to be doing well, so that we knew this next step that they were taking, this character is going to be fine.
Yeah.
And we do have to note that one of our fellow podcasters we have on FFC, she has a sibling who has autism, and she wanted to make sure that we said she had some takeaways from this scene, and she wanted to be sure that we addressed it here. And she said that this whole storyline had her sobbing, and she wasn't sure if it was because of her personal experience with her sister, but she can't imagine what that poor woman is going through, having no one she knows who can take care of her grandson when she can't anymore. She said her own parents are privileged enough to not have to worry about who's going to take care of her sister when they no longer can, but she knows that there are people in her sister's social circle who don't have those same resources, who don't have that same leeway and privilege, and it kills her.
Yeah, I thought about Eve as soon as I was watching this. I was like, oh man, because I knew this was going to hit close to home to her.
Yeah.
Obviously, all of us that, are parents, because she was a parental figure to him, understand that to an extent. But even in the, children, as they grow up, they're going to understand things. They're going to be able to, I mean, this is a lifelong commitment that someone would have to take on, which is a different situation than say, taking on my kids that are 6 and 11. I mean, that's a certain point in time. So I can imagine that fear and like how that would just, I don't know.
Yes. As a parent, I mean, not, or I mean, as in this case, was a grandparent, but I couldn't imagine like knowing I'm going to leave my kids. Like, I'm going to leave them, and who's going to take care of them? Are they going to be taken care of? That would be a constant worry from the day that I knew something was wrong to, for the rest of your life, you're going to be in a constant worry. about what's going to happen to your child.
Yeah. It was tough for sure.
When I got my cancer diagnosis, I have a husband who can care for my kids, but that was I don't have any kids who are disabled or who have autism or anything. They're not on the spectrum at all. And I have a partner. And even with those resources and that help, when I got my diagnosis, that was my immediate thought is who's going to be there for my kids? This woman has nobody.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I think that's, because I mean, like I said, I mean, even I think about those things. I don't have any illnesses that are like, but I think about that. Like, what if something was to happen to me? Because even though I know that I have good family and I have people that would take care of my kids, even if God forbid my husband and something happened to us, no one is going to do it like you. And that's where your fear comes in, I think. And so.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But speaking of good parenting, holy moly, this storyline actually this whole episode really did grab my attention more than the last few.
Yes.
I would say sometimes you'll get a really good episode, and this one was a really good episode because I loved this. I had no suspicions he was going to wake up and say my wife's still out there. When he did, I was like, wait, what?
Yeah. Look, and I am obsessed, I think, with this new doctor. Instantly, I love Dr. Is it pronounced Liu?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what I know him from? And this is how I referred to him through almost the entire notes.
What?
He was one of the stupid models on New Girl who was in Cece's Boys who couldn't figure out how to wear a hat. So I heard,
really?
Yes.
I started rewatching that the other day. I only made for a few episodes.
He doesn't appear until season 6.
Oh, I probably never got that far then. Okay, cool.
I'm not there yet so on my rewatch.
What I kept it was hard for me in the beginning of this episode. I was like, I can't, dude, I can't take this guy seriously because I watched him get locked in a closet and not figure out how to get out. And I can't, you're a doctor now. But in this episode, he did. He matched his metal.
Time to do all those saves.
Yeah, no, I love him, and I'm glad that we have someone who is instantly kind of we're forming a connection with, because I mean I feel like Med has lost a ton of people already and it's only been half a season. So we need this, but I'm here for it. I like him a lot, and I loved Med hasn't really gone out in the field and done stuff around as much lately as they used to.
Yeah,
I mean we had that one episode with Crockett on that train or whatever, but for the most part we haven't done these things, and I've missed it. And so I think that's why I like this so much.
Definitely. No, I loved it. I always love when they get out of the hospital on any medical shows. I feel like this way. I like when they get out into the action and you get to see them save. It's just, I don't want to say boring. That's not the right word. It's just less boring.
I just like to see them leave the walls of the hospital. And I feel like even with all of I think Eve and I were talking about this with all of our Chicago shows. Med is the one that we don't see them outside of those walls of that hospital ever.
Yeah.
But when we do, even if they're still working, even if it's still they're doctoring out somewhere else in the field, it's still nice, I think, to see them out of that ED.
Yeah. Loved it. Dr. Archer is about to make me angry again when he wasn't going to let, but then when he turned to let Archer go with him. Asher. Archer.
I hate that
they should not have named him so similarly.
Oh my gosh, why is it so hard? It's super hard for me.
It bothers me
to figure out Archer and Asher. This is a little too real.
Yeah, no, I hate it. I mean, I hate it.
I do think that part of the reason that scene was in there is so that we could form more of an attachment to Dr. Liu, because he fought to go out and he was like, no, listen to Dr. Archer, who's mean and grumpy all the time. He's like, no, I can do this. Let me do this. Yeah. I'm going to go do this. And I think he would have done it even if Archer said no.
I think so. He was going
too. I think once he told Archer his save number, that was okay, this guy actually knows what he's doing. He doesn't want to send a doctor out there. He has no idea of anything about his character. To represent the hospital.
Right.
I see hesitation. I think hesitation is mandatory in that kind of position.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's a good thing that he went because obviously, like on this search, I mean, I'm sure that the dog is very good at its job, but it was going to cross the river. And thankfully, he was there to say it doesn't really make sense for her to cross the river in this condition. And he didn't tell him, like, hey guys, you're wrong. He was just like, why don't we stay back here and we'll cover more ground this way? And sure enough, I mean, he found her just by like a little bitty broken branch. And I mean, he was good at this.
I have an issue with that though.
Why?
I'm sorry, you're in a forest that is wall to wall trees, branches, things, all of the floor. People walk through there, regularly break things. From a few feet away, you happen to turn your head and see a single snapped branch in a sea of snapped branches. Like, this is the one. This is her. I know it's her.
Good
Like,
though, Maureen. I mean, he saved 65 people. We're 65 people now. So
that's a little unrealistic. The blood was also unrealistic, more realistic than spotting a single broken branch amidst 1,000 broken branches, knowing it's her. That was my only issue with it.
I don't understand.
Like, really?
He's that good.
I watched this right before we went on our hike today.
Oh, good. Just in case you came across another hiker that needed your help.
I kept bending the little branches.
Oh, in case you got lost, they would know where you were. That's a good plan, Amanda.
Smart. Very smart.
You left your little
in the middle of the city. Here I am just snapping little twigs.
Amanda watches too many documentaries about people dying in murders.
Yeah. Yes.
In a good way.
In a good way. But it was funny.
Yeah.
Because it was in the back of my mind as we were walking through. I was like, it wasn't really that easy to snap some of those. They just kind of bend at some points. I'm like, So
maybe it'd be easier if you're pregnant and it's at waist height because
so the baby did it.
Yep.
Kind of.
I was like, is she really going to deliver this baby in the middle of the woods?
Yes.
And she
sure
did.
Dr. Asher.
Also, I mean, was anybody else a little bit like nervous about like all this bleeding she had going on, and then she was pushing a baby? I was like, shouldn't y'all be like holding pressure to like wound? Like, I feel like the blood would like spray out as hard as you have to push to have a baby.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's true.
Was I the only one nervous about that?
I was more nervous. I was more nervous about the fact that the reason they got into the accident was because he was driving her to the hospital because she was in labor. So she was in labor before the accident, right?
Yeah.
When Asher and Leo got to her, she said, "What's happening? Did you forget that you're in labor already? That's a problem." That's where my fear was. I didn't even think about the blood. I was just thinking of her conversation, how she was confused what was happening and didn't know what was happening as she's grabbing her stomach. Like there's only one thing this could possibly be when you're that pregnant. B, you were in labor before you got into the accident. So you should not be confused about what's happening. So that's like that feels like head trauma. Oh no.
Mm-hmm. See, that's what I was thinking. I was like, you have all this head trauma, everything's bleeding, and not just bleeding on the outside. There could be bleeding on the inside because she's obviously has a concussion at least.
Well, they also
and then you're putting that much like strength down, like pushing that hard. I was like, man, is that gonna like bust something inside of her? Like, honestly, this is the way my brain was thinking during that whole scene. And she pushed her out. I was like, okay, now what's gonna happen? I was still nervous.
Yeah.
These shows have me no trust.
I know, they've scarred us. But she was good.
She was good. It was a happy ending and I loved it.
It was.
I was a little sad that Maggie was sitting there watching her. Did the little
wishing she had a husband as great as.
But it was hard to tell at first whether or not he or the OR 2.0 would deliver the same happy results, but we got some answers this week on that front. I don't know how I am liking this Jack Dayton 2.0. I guess I'm old and I don't like this change happening. I can't tell how I feel.
I think it's super cool, but I also like watching it. I'm like, is this really possible? Or is this like so far science fiction that like I want someone to tell me, like, is this actually possible? Because it seems so out there. I think it's cool.
No, I think it's definitely possible.
It's just wild to think about, in my opinion.
It's an AI. I mean, but we have so many different types of AIs now that are not only invented already, but that people are actively using like in their day-to-day lives. And I think we're just going to advance from here. So I think this is possible.
Yeah.
I know they already have some things like, you know, even on Grey's when they have like the liver, you know, when they're the
Maggie
favorite
lost the
episode of
liver?
Grey's where she lost the liver, because you know that those images like kind of come up and they can like turn them around and look on the other side of the liver and stuff like that. They were doing that years ago.
That's true. That's true. I don't know. It just seems so far-fetched to me, but I think it's cool. So
It is really cool. I'm just more nervous about Jack Dayton. I don't know. He rubbed me the wrong way when he would not go in there to see that girl. I know he made up.
I think for me, where it seemed a little science fiction-y is when he was like sticking his hands inside the AI to like, that was to me like, that was where I was questioning, because I know I said before that it seemed like the hologram or the image was set up by different screens projecting the light from different angles, like different shots, and that made more sense to me. But I think it's because I'm not technologically inclined in that way, nor am I medically inclined in that way. So for me, that's not how it works. That's not real.
Yeah.
That's what's in my head. But I agree with him, and I think it could be entirely possible that you could do these, because I mean, they do simulations like this for training, and they do simulations like this in a lot of different fields. I don't know why it couldn't be applied to a medical place. I think it would scare me a little bit as a patient to be like, you're relying on what now?
Yeah.
But
I mean, I guess in this case though, I mean, just like, I mean, I think our case before, had it not been for, 2.0, Crockett wouldn't have even attempted this. So I definitely, I mean, I'm here for the benefits of this. I'm here for, he was able, I mean, it's like I said, it's totally cool. He was able to work out his scenario of what he was going to do and plan like without having to actually like be inside the patient at the time. So I don't know.
That's smart. I mean, it's because I think for me, it would be, as a patient, it would be scary to think they're relying on that. But the benefit there is that they can do as many trial runs as they want before they even get to you. So they can plan, they can set this AI up to plan for, okay, we're going to cause this problem to happen. Now, what would you do? And that's hugely beneficial.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to point out is that, did anyone notice when Crockett sat down with Roy to talk that you saw Dr. Dupree come in the background and then just turn her head and listen and watch and kind of incline her ear?
Oh, yeah.
And then when he got out, she's like, I didn't mean to eavesdrop. What?
Well, he even said eavesdrop much. I mean, he was like,
And she went, not intentionally. But you saw him in the room and then inclined all of your body's attention to what he was saying in there. What do you mean not intentionally?
Unless
that was a definite eavesdrop on purpose.
So she was just stopping to listen because it's Crockett, and she just wanted to. Because I'm already calling it that they're going to be together.
100%.
Yeah,
but I think that's why I was a little bit nervous of what this OR was going to be in this episode, because I thought, okay, she just wants more things in that OR. So she's going to grab any case she can to put in there. And then that's why I was a little bit nervous about it this week, because I kind of thought that was her angle. Solely that was her angle.
Yeah.
But then as they were going through it and they saw that the success rate is 48%, and they're like, hey, and then you could watch her adjust things. And it doesn't, what I liked about it was that it doesn't change the default setting. So it'll go back to default. But you can adjust this in the moment, in those surgeries, in those trial runs. And then you even saw when Crockett was in there, actually in Roy, that sounded weird, but he was, in his intestines and all that stuff. And he found a better avenue. She was nervous. And I think that Crockett kind of needed that push to see, okay, things that seem impossible are still possible, because he used to be a lot more, I don't want to say he was riskier before, but he wasn't as afraid before.
He was. Yeah.
He was. And I noticed that this episode, it dawned on my head. I was like, on my head, in my head. He used to be able to take way more chances, and he's so cut off now.
It's the Pamela thing. I mean, she's just really like, it's messed with him, and I'm glad to see him kind of getting back to who he was.
Yeah. And I think that he even said at the end when she was congratulating him, and he said, no, it was you in this OR. I had already given up. And she said something about being capable of change. And at Crockett's final scene, he said something along the lines of, well, maybe I am too. So I think we're going to see a swing back into the Crockett that everybody fell in love with.
Smart.
But I think I'm excited for that because I'm not as in love with Crockett as everybody else is. He's kind of like middle of the road for me. And like, even his voice is like, it's a voice.
Oh no, I'm more in love with his voice.
I like the voice.
Person.
I'm very middle of the road with Crockett. Like, I think his character's interesting, but in the last few episodes, because of how afraid he's been, he's fought for his patients, which I loved seeing, but he's been kind of boring. And his purpose originally was to provide that excitement and that courage and that let's go get him, kill everything off sort of thing. And that, I think we're going to see a return of that. And I'm grateful for that.
Yeah. I think we will start seeing a lot more of that.
Yeah.
With him. I hope so. Because I love Crockett. I wouldn't say he's like my favorite, but I've always enjoyed his character. He's never really like made me too mad or upset or anything like that. He's annoyed me at certain points, but I think every character does that.
Came on, but I got over it. So
yeah,
wasn't a big fan of when he was flirting with the mom and dating the daughter. That was a little weird.
Pamela,
that's when I was not very fond of him during that whole time.
Like, really, like I would have had a much stronger reaction to that than the girl did. Like, really, you're making out with my mom right now, and you just went on a date with me the other night. Like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah,
but, yeah. So I mean, I agree that I was never hateful of Crockett, and but I think once he got over, or not, he's still not over it, obviously. But once he had that issue with Pamela, his interest level started to go down. He took a back seat in everything. He wasn't, and I think that's why the train stuff was so important to us as fans, because we got to see Crockett being adventurous and being courageous and not caring about, the results. Because I mean, this guy, Roy, he said, he didn't say this, but he basically said, I'm going to kill myself if you don't do this.
Yeah.
So what are you losing by doing this, Crockett?
Yeah.
But he was still so afraid he was going to kill him. So
this
be good.
So I mean, over and all, once it was done and over with, I thought he made a great decision, and I love the storyline. It kind of got my pants. So I was like, hey.
I mean, speaking of getting panties in a twist, though, like, let me tell you about this case, okay? The case with like the girl and her swim coach and just the dumb decisions they were trying to make, that had me riled up.
Oh, so bad.
Who does that swim coach think she is? I was so mad at her. Oh my God.
I was like, are you not an adult? How selfish are you?
Yeah.
She is a child.
Yes.
And you're an adult. And this child is looking up to you for, she's just being selfish. She doesn't care in 10 years of where this girl's career is.
No, she's worried about right now, whether she's
worried about right now.
Yeah.
But this girl could die tomorrow, and that's going to be on her.
And I'll just say it. I mean, thank goodness that she had my guy as her doctor, because not everybody would have pushed as hard as Dr. Will Halstead.
That's true. Will actually made me proud this episode. And I don't say that every episode, but I'm not a Will hater. I don't hate him by any means. He's just not my favorite. He's usually making me mad about something. But I was
a little nervous about that conversation, though. Like, I thought, I felt like Jack Dalton was like gonna be threatening him after that, but there was a good result. But watching Will say that to him, pretty sure Jeanette had more intense feelings than I did about it. But watching Will,
I was stressed. I was like, oh no, Will, you're gonna get in trouble again.
Watching him be that forceful and that intense and that like fired up, I really, really, really enjoyed watching that scene play out.
That is why I love him, because he doesn't care about the consequences. Like, he is going to do what he feels is best for his patient. Sometimes he's wrong. I mean, he's not always correct in what he's doing, but every time he does it, it is with their best interest at heart. And he's completely selfless about it. So
he is. A lot of good things. He did scare me when he walked up to Jack. It's like, oh
He scared
man.
me too. I thought he was gonna get fired
Oh
again.
man.
God, Will, don't get fired again. Don't get fired
Again. How many times has that man been fired?
But and honestly though, Jack Dayton, we've gone up and down on how we feel about him. He ended this episode with on a positive note for me.
He did. He didn't have to.
He he should have. A good person would have, but I wasn't sure that he was a good person.
I'm still iffy about him. I know he made a good decision in this episode.
I think he's definitely got selfish motives in what he's doing.
Yeah.
But I do think deep down he is what he thinks he's trying to make a difference. He's just maybe not, he needs to go about it a little different at times. I think he's a little pushy on situations, but I don't know. I've got a good feeling that he's not the big bad we like.
I hope so.
He seemed to be in other episodes, I think.
Because he even commended Will for speaking to him that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. During probably the middle of this episode, I was thinking to myself, like, okay, they didn't give us any kind of suspicion that this was going to be a bad guy when we met him in those tunnels. Right. I was like, and they usually do. I was like, why are we getting why are we starting to make this guy a bad guy? Was he supposed to be a bad guy from all along? And this is like my thoughts as I'm watching the episode. So I'm like, what? Yeah. I thought he was going to be a good guy. And like he came in, he saved him from the uniforms, and he's made like great decisions. And I'm glad he went back. I'm glad it ended on a good note, because I was getting very scared watching, and also a little bit confused. But
I think what made us all kind of panic was the way it was presented to Sharon that Jack Dayton now made the decisions. I think that's what had us like, uh-oh, because we don't want the decision-making power out of our people's hands. And I think that was the thing that made us question his motives. But if you do go back and look at all of his interactions since we saw him, he cares about his people. He really does. And I think that he didn't fully realize what was required of him to take over a hospital, how he would have to care about more than just his people, but the patients in the hospital. And I don't think he wants anybody to die. I don't think he's that kind of human being, but I think that he wasn't fully thinking of the ramifications of owning a hospital in terms of what his responsibility is to patients and to making his face seen to people outside of the press.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. So I don't know. I think we're on the upswing with, I do too. I think I like Jack Dayton. I do too.
And you got to realize, if you walked into a big hospital in your city and you wanted to speak to the owner of the hospital, what are the chances they're even there?
Yeah.
More or less. I mean, let's get real about it.
Yeah.
And again, I think it was that moment when he looked at Will, when Will was like, started to apologize, and he said, no, I like a straight shooter. Don't apologize for that. I think that's the kind of leadership you need. Someone who is okay to be called out on their crap. And I think Jack Dayton seems to be someone who is fine being called out on his crap.
I mean, anyone who's a fan of Will, I'm a fan of them. So it's fine.
Maybe it's not so bad to have him in power. And I think that next week, I think we're going to see more of that, even though it didn't show to the preview.
Yeah.
But I do think that we will see a little bit more of Jack Dayton, because I mean, I don't think they'd feature him so heavily if he's not going to become a regular part of the show. Right. So I think we might see a little bit more of him, but I do like that in the preview, we get Leo and Asher. I'm wondering if they're going to become a duo now, not necessarily romantically, because I don't feel that yet, but at least in terms of friends to start and medically, because we saw them together this week, and then we see them rock climbing in the preview for next week with, I don't know if that was another friend, but he falls in distress, and the thing they ended on was wondering why he fell or why he's distressed. Like, I feel like he's distressed because he just fell off.
Yeah.
But it did say the fall is just the beginning.
Yeah.
Beginning of what?
I don't know. If we're going to talk about, I will admit that like I had a little bit of tiny fear of when I saw them. I'm like, why are they rock climbing together? Like, what are we doing? Because we all know that I've been like pushing for Hannah and Will to get back together. And then there's been,
oh my gosh, I forgot they were together.
Do you all remember?
No,
I don't know if you all have seen this on other pages or whatever, but there is a big speculation that like because Hannah and Asher have spent so much time together that or Archer that they're going to do something there. And I've been nervous about it too, even though I hate age gap. Like I hate that trope of an age gap or whatever. It's not my thing. So but then I'm like, and now we got another one. Like, stop. Put her in a scene with Will. I am over like all these extra people being like
I am too.
We've been waiting a long time.
I want her with Will. I feel like Will has been jerked around from woman to woman for how many years now?
Happily
like,
ever after.
Oh my gosh, give this man a wife.
Yes, please.
Or so a partner, something.
Anything. So hopefully it's just a friendship thing. We'll see. But it just seemed odd that they just had like a big like storyline this week and then we see them together next week. I was like, what are we doing?
And I don't really want there to be a romantic relationship between her and Lou because I didn't feel any chemistry.
No, me either.
I didn't either.
But I did forget she was with Will, though.
I don't know if she's not with him, is she?
No, I forgot she was with Will.
Oh, like in the past. Yeah.
And we even had that big thing of like Will like talking to Ethan about how like when they had the discussion about coming back together and how like we had that whole thing and then we never talked about it again. They showered together. We never talked about it again. Like,
I forgot about that too.
What are we doing? I did not forget about that.
I figured.
I would never forget about that.
I did.
Well, next week I think we'll have an opportunity to see more things develop, and maybe because it did say the fall is just the beginning, so maybe will find some way to come in there and stand alongside Hannah, and they will find something there. Maybe, I don't know, because if it's just the beginning, something more is going to happen. Unless they're saying it's the beginning of this new couple. I don't know, but that would be weird.
Well, that makes me nervous of that title now. But
okay. I don't know. I just don't think that there's chemistry there.
I don't think so either.
So hopefully not. But let's jump into fire. It was Something for the Pain is the title of this episode, and we pick up exactly where we left off. I keep thinking last week, but the last episode, which was what, 2 weeks ago?
A month ago.
Yeah. It was a month ago, really?
Probably pretty close.
Wow. Holy cow. That's why it feels like it's been forever.
Yeah.
So we pick off literally right there in the house. And I have to say, Taylor Kinney's sad is too real.
I agree.
I don't like it.
I know. Yeah. You can see and feel the fear and pain on his face.
It stresses me out. I don't like it at all. Yeah. I mean, it's because he's a good actor, but I don't like seeing him like that.
None of us do. I want to see somebody who doesn't like Taylor. I mean,
there are people who don't. I don't get it, and I will say, I wanted to point out that we were discussing in the last podcast we did why they called medic, and they went and Stella and Carter went in there. Stella is a trained paramedic. Because we remembered after we did the recording, we remembered that she filled in for Brett before she had a partner. She filled in and did paramedic rounds with her because she's
I still think it was dumb, but I get it.
I mean, I'm the story.
Cool, though. I'm cool with it.
At least it makes sense now.
Yeah. I agree.
I mean, if you had a choice between just a paramedic or a paramedic and firefighter in one, which would you send into a dangerous building? You'd want to send them the one who has firefighting skills plus paramedic skills.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I think she was a great choice. I mean, who else could have taken that hit and then jumped right back?
Yeah. No,
I knew this would be Amanda's favorite thing to talk about.
Let me tell you, my heart broke when he finally turned her around and that noise she made. I was like, that's pain. Like, I mean, fantastic acting by her, really, because it just felt real, that noise that came out of her, because that is like the pain noise, like not like ow, ooh, that hurts. Like that noise is like deep down, ow. And she made that, and I was like, ooh, okay. So that was, my heart just broke. And as soon as he came out of those doors, like, she's gonna be okay with it. He put his hands like it's like all blood down his hands. It just made the whole scene.
I loved how like when he was coming in, I mean, he's basically like, there's Prima, somebody help him. Oh, there's Carver. I mean, he just like flew through it. Like,
he was still giving his orders though. I mean, he still did his job,
but he was not stopping for anyone until he found
no.
I loved when he went up the stairs and he was like, "Squad, let's go search and rescue," and just went. And that one person was like, "We haven't cleared the house." Boat was like, "Nope, he's going in.
He's going in. Don't even try."
Boden's thinking, "You're not going to stop it. So you might as well just roll with it."
He didn't even waste a breath. I don't know. I guess I didn't realize that it was going to cause all these nightmares she's having now and everything. Because I don't feel like she's been through a lot. I feel like a lot worse stuff in the past, and that this is. I mean, she got some shrapnel in her side. Like to me, it's like dangerous. Obviously, she could have been, if it had gone in any further to the side, anything, they could have killed her. I get it.
Yeah.
But I just feel like she's gone through a lot worse stuff.
Well, I wonder if it's because, I mean, like the other stuff she's been through, like, okay, you go into a fire, you expect to be in those situations surrounded by flames, different things. This was like literally a grenade going off. And so that may be not something that you ever thought you would be a part of, like an actual like bombing, basically. Yeah. So I don't know if maybe that just affects you differently, or maybe that scared her enough that she honestly like thought she wasn't going to make it, or I don't know.
I mean, but they went in there in their like tactical gear. Like, I feel like they knew it was a dangerous situation that they were walking into.
Yeah, they knew. But I think it could have also been compounded, because I was thinking that too. Because the last time she was in the hospital, her injuries were way more severe.
Yeah.
And she nearly died for real. So I think with this one, it could have been compounded by the fact that this whole year leading up to this incident, her and Kelly almost got shot by a guy involving the one that they went in there to kill. And then she almost died again by this guy. So it maybe part of it was that she kept almost dying by this particular guy's hands. That's completely outside of firefighting, outside of her job. And so she's feeling not safe anywhere after this incident. Maybe that's the only thing I could think of, because it's her injuries alone were not enough to cause this, because she's had way worse.
Yeah. But Stella's not the only one struggling with the aftermath of that call. Carver, I mean,
tell you what,
he got to me this week. He really did give me like the feels.
Yeah, I'm gonna officially put it down that he's my new fire guy, which is probably not good for him. But because that tends to not work out in anyone's favor. But I loved him, and I wasn't I'll be honest, and maybe it's just because I always have like romance drama on the brain. I was like, where are we going with this? Why is he so strange when he walked up to the room?
Same.
There.
That was weird for me. I didn't like that. It felt like he was like, why is Kelly in there? I missed my chance.
But I mean, I think, not to jump ahead, but just jump ahead a little bit. I think by the time when we talk to him at the end and he kind of is explaining things, I think it's just more of he felt this, and maybe for a minute he even thought of it as he felt something for Stella, but I think it was more of this like gratitude and this something he had never experienced of someone saving him and being there for him. That's the only thing I can figure out, because I can't imagine they're going to mess with Stella Ride. I don't think so.
No, they better not. They've messed
I don't
with
think
too
Stella
much.
and Severide are going to let that happen.
Right. And I think there's nothing on Stella's end.
No.
But and so maybe it's just like projected feelings that aren't exactly what, but it was definitely an odd scene when he walked up and then turned around, because I think Kelly wouldn't have cared if you had came in like to talk to her. Like it wouldn't have been an issue at all.
No.
Kelly's pretty secure in his relationship.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like you should be. I'm like, no one's gonna leave Kelly Severide.
No.
If they do, that's dumb. But
for sure.
I mean, you didn't just have him during that scene when he walked up to the hospital room. You also had the scene like on top of the roof where I was like, is he like complete? My first thought was, is he completely in love with her?
And this isn't the first time I've had these feelings. I think I've said it on here that
No, you said something like this before, that you said you thought they were going to try to.
There was a vibe. And I think it's just simply, I mean, I think she's got Miranda's got chemistry with literally everyone. And I think it's just been projected. But I've had weird feelings about this. So like then this episode, and I was like, oh no, like this is even worse than I thought.
Stop it.
My note on that was, really, does Carver think there could be no possible other reason she saved him other than that she's fully in love with him and he has to reciprocate? Seriously? But then as the episode went on, I realized that, because, there's that real thing. It's, I don't remember the name of it. Like, it's like savior syndrome or something, where someone saves you and you have very, very strong feelings towards that people, and they're real and they're valid, but because they're so strong, you confuse them for love or attraction when that's not actually what it is. And that could have been what was happening at first.
Yeah. And I think maybe even more so in his case, since I don't think he's ever had anyone show him that sort of like care that they would like risk their own life for him.
Yeah.
So I think he was just confused for sure.
The look on his face when they carried him out of the building was so heartbreaking to me, because you could just tell that he was like, why would she do that for me? Why did she, like, I'm getting emotional thinking about, because it felt like he was devastated that she did that for him. Like, he didn't think he was worth the time. So why even bother? But she did it anyway. And he was that compiled with fear over her dying just for him. And just, oh my gosh, he did well this week. Although the on the rooftop, I was like, when he was like, pull her up. And Gallo was like, what is the matter with you? It's her choice. It's not yours. You're not the lieutenant. Knock it off.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that Gallo was the one up there, because Gallo is the only one who could have gotten through to Carter in that moment.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No,
Carver. I keep calling him Carter. I just realized his name's Carver. Right?
Carver.
Okay. I just called him Carter like 5 times.
Close.
But yeah, no, I'm glad. And I'm glad that, like, I think between like Gallo telling Kelly that, like, Carver's been acting a little strange too. And so Kelly like kind of pushes, which I thought was hilarious, when Stella was like, we're not going to hold hands and sing songs. And he was like, good, because if he touches your hand, he's a dead man. And I was like, there we go. There we go.
I loved it.
I'm sorry. How can you not love Kelly Severide? Like, he's such a good man.
No, I totally agree. And we all know he's not my favorite by any means, but I will not sit here and say anything bad about him. I don't have anything to say there. So I love him. But they're taught Molly's was really good. And I'm glad we finally got a little bit of the answers of like Carver's past and like why he's been, what he's lied about, and how traumatic was that. I was just like, oh my gosh, like no wonder this man is broken. Like,
yep.
And he was even gracious to his parents because he gave an excuse for why they wouldn't believe him. They should have looked into this more. Like, that's your responsibility as a parent. I would be ticked if I was him. But he even said, no one wants to believe that kind of crazy. And so he was even being gracious to why his parents didn't believe him. But it's kind of why he goes off the rails all the time, because, well, what's the point? People are going to think the worst of me anyway. People are going to think I'm a liar anyway. So
why not be?
Why live up to any other standard?
Yeah. I get it.
Yeah. So that was nice. And I was glad to see it. And I was glad to see that I think I'm right about Carver. He's one of the good ones. So
I was the one thing I was sad about, and it's not even a bad thing, but how quickly they jumped from that serious talk to joking. Like, I wish we would have stayed in the deep end a little bit longer.
I
think that for them, for the nature of their job, for the nature of who they are, it wouldn't have. But me personally, I wanted to be in that deep end a little longer with Carver and to like dig deeper into who he is and why he is. It wasn't the right time. It's just that's how I prefer to communicate. So I was excited to see that. And then they're like, oh, joking. Oh man.
Yeah, I think he could have that conversation with like him and Gallo being buddies. I think they could have gotten into a deep conversation, but Stella's not that deep of a person. She's just not, and that's what we love about her. And so it wasn't gonna stay deep. And I liked that they stuck true to like the kind of relationship that they have.
Yeah. No, I liked it being quick and over with.
Yeah.
If I feel like if they went on too far, they know how to push down their feelings.
I totally agree.
Healthy.
I totally agree. I don't know. God, as much as I love that, the pairing of Violet and Emma that I absolutely hate. I'm like done with this woman. Like, I never want to see her on my screen ever again.
I hate her.
I honestly
absolutely hate her character. I hate
her so much that I already didn't like the actress because I didn't like her in The Fosters. Like, okay. But I didn't hate her. Like, I feel sorry. Like, I'm sorry I forget her name, whatever the actress's real name is, but I will never like you in anything. I hate Emma Jacobs so much that I don't think I could ever enjoy a character she plays, which is kudos to her, because obviously she's done it so well that she will forever be a villain in my eyes. Like, she's good at it, right?
In this storyline, Violet tries the whole episode essentially. I had to laugh a little bit because the whole episode was centered on, well, with these two characters, on Violet getting to Emma's boss. And then at the end, she was like, I guess I did give in to
You guess?
Were you unaware that that's what Bowden pointed out to you a long time ago? But I do think, though, that she's not giving herself a fair shake because Emma is legitimately a danger
she
to the city.
it.
And she's legit. It even goes beyond deserving it. Like she's an actual danger to firefighters. She's an actual danger to this institution, to the city. She's going to cause problems and she's going to cause probably deaths in some shape or form. She is inept. She's incapable and she's completely wicked in every way. So you might have been spurred on by your hatred for her, but you hate her because she is hateable. And she's hateable because she's an awful human being.
And I think now that Violet has at least said something, I mean, she's got to take some pressure off her shoulders. I know she's not going to give up on this. I know she's going to continue to look. But she at least said something. She took action when a lot of people just would be just leave it alone by now.
Yeah.
She's not going to leave it alone. She's going to at least try. And I think I'm not surprised with Violet. She's she's so 51.
Yeah. And I do think that her talk with Emma's boss was honestly the best result she could have hoped for because the boss, he took her seriously, but he was also
he's like, what evidence do I have?
There's nothing I can come against her with unless I have actual evidence to come against her, but I will watch out for her now because you've warned me of this. I will keep an eye out for her.
Yeah. So I thought it went great, but I don't think she was impressed.
Well, no, because she wanted her gone, like everybody else in the fandom. Yeah. But I do think I don't even think he's the one who told Emma, because I think given the nature of this and Violet telling him
why he was
the target, so Emma must just because she's a crazy person, must just stake out his office, or she has trackers on Violet. I wouldn't even put it past her to put a tracker on Violet somehow.
I wouldn't either.
Or somebody she works with was in that building. I mean,
something. Yeah. But
what I love though is when they're like going through like the text messages or whatever, or she's looking at them and Gallo was like, do you want help looking at those? And I'm thinking, can you imagine what could be in those text messages? Like, no, you don't want to look at those.
My favorite part about that was his face as he was asking the question. Like as it's coming out of his mouth, he's like, please say no, I don't want to do this.
He wanted to offer the help, but he's like, I don't know how I can help without.
Didn't he even say I didn't want to do that, but I felt like I had to ask?
Yeah. And him of all people, because I mean, I don't want anybody reading this, but obviously we know that there's history there and there's probably a future as well. So like this is something that you need to be reading. So
I hope there's a future. I know we can't do it right now, but
part of me doesn't want it because I like them as friends so much, but I know they'd also make it work as romantic. But I'm just really enjoying those three as good friends. I really like it so much.
If they go there again, it has to be in game.
Permanent.
Yeah.
Like they have to get married and be Stellaride like level. Or I don't want it.
Yeah.
And they might be getting to that level because I mean, how much longer is Taylor going to stay on fire?
How much longer that?
I know we don't want to think about it, but I mean, this man has been doing it for how many
11 years?
11.
Yeah.
There comes a time where an actor has to. Yeah. So
I don't want to think about this, Amanda. Stop it.
Okay. But you know what? Even talking about all of them are on it, but Kelly is like front and center. I mean, he definitely gets more material.
And he's on Squad, so all of his stuff is way more intense than everybody else's.
Yeah. Oh well, it's fine. He's going to be on there forever, just like Adam, and everybody else is going to be on PD forever. Like it's just.
I do think that there was a little hint of how they're going to find some stuff because Violet said she's Emma's worst enemy, but then they're talking about she said they already cleaned out his office. I think she's going to contact his family and get his stuff and find something in there or I mean, she's going to screw up because when she came back, first of all, she said, I did that favor for your friend. I'm sorry. Tell the truth.
Yeah.
And that was a favor.
She said we were even and now we're not, or whatever.
She didn't say now we're not. She's like, we were even, but now, and then smiled and walked away like, ooh.
So this might be a good thing. Like I worry a little bit about Violet. I worry about, because Emma's crazy. So like, I worry about like Gallo. I worry about everybody that surrounds her.
What is her crazy? She's stupid.
She's going to mess up now.
Exactly.
And so this is probably good as long as we don't have something weird happen and she takes somebody with her at the end of the season, because
I think she'll put somebody in the hospital, but I don't think she'll take them with her.
I hope not. Because I could see something crazy like her going after Violet and like Gallo like being the hero, and that's what puts them back together.
Gallo's the one I'm
Please
thinking.
Please don't do that to him. I can't.
I think Gallo will have to. That might be. We might end the season with Gallo and Violet being sort of a thing because I feel like Gallo might be the one to save her from Emma.
Yeah, because honestly, that's what I thought was going to happen a long time ago with like Hawkins when all this was first happening, and then they decided to take him a different way. So like, I still feel like
well, that's a generous statement.
We went a different way with this character.
Yeah, really.
Well, those are all speculations that we have, and I hope that I don't think they're going to hurt anyone through Violet or through Emma. I think one thing Dick Wolf is good at is getting people what they deserve, except for like Hawkins, who didn't get what
he didn't deserve that at all. He deserved happily ever after.
For the villains, he's pretty good at giving the villains what they deserve. So I think that we'll see that. And there's another story we get from the paramedic universe that brings the whole house together and is not as bad. As this one.
Gosh,
I loved Brett bringing in that baby box. It was like so like I liked seeing, because that's definitely a Brett sort of thing to do to make, be innovative and do different things here to change things, but also with lots of funny scenes to go along with it. Like when
stared at her
when everything came in, and I mean, like, here she's like, is anyone gonna help me? And like no one's gonna help her put it together, but she's like, it's for abandoned babies, and they're all so of course And then Cap with his sandwich in the box, which
oh my gosh,
she was so mad at him. I mean, probably over the top mad, but I still support it. Like, fine.
It was not over the top mad because no one took her seriously, and she's sick of it.
I know. Yeah. And I loved how poor Cap, though, he's like, you're right, that was terrible. And he still digs the sandwich out of the trash.
I need so much more of Cap.
I know.
So much more of him.
Yeah. I know. I love Cap so much.
I love it.
I was like, I felt like I was being scolded too, though, when he was being. I was like,
oh,
it was like, sweet, it's still warm. You put it in a warmer. What do you mean? Why are you surprised?
Well, he got notified immediately.
Right.
Like when the alarm goes off and she runs in there and she looks right to Herman, like, what? I was over here the whole time.
Well, if someone was going to unplug it, it was going to be 100%
Herman. Yeah,
for sure.
It is set to loud.
The only thing that I don't know how I felt, her talk with Goodwin, great talk, very foreshadowy in some way. I don't know foreshadowy of what, but I don't know.
It felt like a promise was being made somewhere there.
I don't know. I was like, is she going to try to like convince Brett to like go to medical school or something?
I don't think Brett will do that.
I don't think that's it though. I don't know what the point of that scene was. There's definitely a point. They wouldn't have had Sharon come over a crossover if it wasn't.
I mean,
very important to the.
I agree with that, but maybe it's something like Jack Dayton has a program that she could join, and she's going to be sent off that way. Because Brett hasn't seemed really very happy.
No,
at 51. So I don't know if that's foreshadowing that she's about to go away and some other medical program, or go to other cities like Stella did with Girls on Fire. Maybe they're going to send her off. I don't know. But it didn't feel right. I will say though too that go ahead, Jeanette, what were you gonna say?
No, I mean, same thing. Like I got a little Girls on Fire type vibe with it, and I don't know
what that means, because
I don't either.
But the city of Chicago, or the fire department of Chicago, like the real fire department of Chicago, was actually kind of upset about the storyline because they felt like it was misleading to the public because they don't actually do this. And so they felt, so if you live in that area, they do have a safe haven law, but you have to turn your baby over to a person. You don't have to give them your information. You don't have to answer any questions. You can just hand your baby to a person, but you can't just drop it somewhere. There is no box you can put it in. You can't just leave it on their doorstep. You have to actually give it to a person. That's part of the law, but anyone can do it with it. I think the baby has to be 30 weeks or under. And you can do that. But they released a statement saying that they felt like it would cause too much confusion and people would see the show expecting, oh, sweet, I can just leave this on the doorstep of a fire station, because they had that line in there about how many babies are left on our doorstep all the time. So I think that that's what they were upset about. I think that they need to recognize that the show is fiction. But I think that a lot of people, as with the Dan Scott story, a lot of people don't separate fact and fiction easily.
No,
and
they
especially
really
not desperate people. So if you are in that area, know that no Chicago fire station has this kind of equipment, and you are not supposed to leave them on the step. You can, no questions asked. You can give no information. You don't even have to say a single word, but you can bring your baby there. You just have to give it to someone who's in the fire station. You have to physically give it to someone.
There's so many more places that you can drop your baby off as a safe haven than just Illinois? Fire stations. No, and this can be like nationwide. There's I think many other locations.
They said that there was 2 states who had the same safe haven laws as Illinois did. I don't remember what the other state is, but they said there were 2 states that had the same law. So I think the laws differ from state to state. So check your state
definitely
statutes.
Check your state laws. I know Texas because I've been here.
So I think that next week we have to see a little bit more, at least, of Goodwin and Brett because of how they left it. Like they can't not answer that question, right? They're not that mean.
Yeah.
So they've got to answer it somewhere, but the preview didn't show any of it. What the preview showed was Severide with OFI, and it was the guy saying, "You're going to help us take down the corrupt head of OFI." I thought he was a good guy.
Yeah, I don't like this because I like that guy that runs OFI.
Yeah.
He seemed decent. He seemed to truly want to solve these crimes. He even allowed Severide to go back and solve crimes that had already been solved in the right way. So I don't like it at all.
And maybe that's what Severide will find. Maybe he will fight to prove that this guy is not corrupt and maybe
it's Emma.
I bet it is Emma.
Blame it on Emma? Yeah, something, right?
I think this whole thing will get rid of Emma. This is going to be the start of them getting rid of Emma in the way they're supposed to, in a proper way.
I don't think there's any way that we are so wrong about this OFI guy.
I've never had any sort of
thought
I haven't
about him being like
this. Has to be Emma attacking from the side.
But why would she attack? I don't know. Just
because if she can get Severide out of there and she can get that house vulnerable to other things, then she can tie him up that way and get rid of them. Because I mean, she doesn't care how. She doesn't have to hurt Violet directly. She just has to hurt the house. That's her family.
Yeah, that's true.
And Severide's kind of the head of that house. So, but I mean, we'll see about that. That's the only thing I can come up with, honestly, because that head of there's no way the head of OFI is corrupt. There's no way.
I don't think so. I'll be shocked.
I don't think so. I really don't think so.
Everything we've seen,
if so, I'll be
decent.
Yeah, I'll be really shocked.
Yeah.
I will. I guess that's a way to shock me.
I was going to say I'll do something crazy if he is, but I can't think of anything crazy that I'd be willing to do if I happen to be wrong.
Shave your head.
No,
she's like,
that will never again be something I will bet. Not ever. So I as always, we end every preview saying, and I was just editing a podcast the other day where it said, "We'll see." In every preview, we say that. I don't know why we say that, because everybody knows that we don't actually have the answers and we're just guessing and fabricating things. So we'll see.
We'll see. I think it makes sense.
PD was fantastic this week because
it was a Ruzek episode.
No, it was a Torres episode.
Oh, it was a Ruzek and Torres episode.
I think I might love Torres as much as Ruzek. I think they're on the same level.
Oh, I love him more. Nope.
He might be edging out Ruzek a little bit.
He is.
Not because, he's so pretty and beautiful, but I freaking love his character.
Because I
love him.
I think he is pretty, but he's not, like, that's not my reasoning on him, because he seems so young for me. Like, I'm not into it. But
it's solely his character and who he is and how he acts.
I did have the thought. Now, I didn't say he was up there with Ruzek, but I had the thought watching it, and I was going to tell you all that poor Kevin, he's taken my number 3 spot. I'm sorry, because he's not going to beat Burzak, like, ever. No one ever.
Where was Kevin this week?
Well, I mean, Ruzek like tapped him like as he walked out with Torres, and he almost looked a little sad. It's like, he took his buddy. I was supposed to be his buddy, like on both counts, really.
I think Adam's really taking him under his wing, and I'm actually really enjoying watching Adam and Torres.
They're my favorite pair.
I love them together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I loved it, and I think, and I don't know why this popped in my head, because like
Jeanette's trying to justify Ruzek with anybody other than Kim.
I'm okay. Actually, I'm okay with them not like being partners, because I just want to see them partners in real life. I don't care if they're partners in the station. But like when you remember when Adam came on, he had Al to sort of take him under his wing, and he was like his mentor. And it's nice to see like Ruzek kind of giving that back. Even though, I mean, he's nothing like Al. It's not in the same way. I mean, Al would have never taken Ruzek to like a poker game with the guys, but like he's still like teaching him like how to do things, and he's got his back and he's there for him. And so I really just enjoyed that parallel, I guess. I don't know.
It's good to know other cops. That's something that Ruzek got from Al.
Yeah.
That one of the first episodes we saw, Al was teaching him about that.
Yep.
Yes,
I think
true.
it was a total callback to that's how I felt when I watched it.
I was
like,
wondering if it was just me. I was like, oh
no. I was too. I don't know. I mean, I don't know who else did, but I noticed that.
I loved the whole, like, I mean, I do love Dante. I think he's great. Even when he's sitting there listening to all those guys, and you can tell he's just completely
so uncomfortable.
so uncomfortable. And I mean, it's probably like, also like, Adam, you got to think, like, yes, it's good to know other cops, but this guy's like, what is Dante, like 25 maybe? I feel like he's really young. He's a baby. And like these guys are like, I mean, this isn't even Adam's probably, I mean, Adam's 40. Like, he's old to poor Dante, you know?
He's 40?
I don't think he's 40.
If he's not 40, he's close to it. Maybe not in the show.
Because Al picked him from the academy. Do you think he really went to the academy at 30?
And he didn't know what a typewriter is or a Rolodex?
So maybe he's 35, but he's still like,
I think he's in his late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah,
I think he's meant at least.
I think he's meant to be in his early 30s, if not 30. I think that's what he's meant to appear as.
That's the feeling.
That's solely off of the conversation he had with Al when Al was like typing things up, and Adam's like, "What is that? What's a Rolodex? What is that?"
I'm 33 and I know what a Rolodex is.
Yeah, and I'm 40 and I know what a Rolodex is and what a typewriter is. So I don't think he's meant to be on our end. He is in real life for sure, but I don't think he's meant to be our age in the show.
I want to know if I figure out, but we'll figure it out a little bit. Even like, I mean, I could tell that guy they were playing poker with was going to be bad news, like off jump, when he was like, "So why did you become a cop?" Or even when he also, what did he say? "Are you from the West Side?" And he was like, "Pilsen." Like, I don't know. You could just feel that there was just like little jabs at Tante already from this guy.
Yep.
You just called him Tante.
Well, I don't know what I said.
Tante.
There we go. That's what we're gonna call him. But also, Adam being Adam, he's, even when Dante's ready to leave, he's like, "No, man, I drove you. You're my guest. Let me get my stuff." Like, he wouldn't let him leave without like him. And I thought that was, was good.
It's Adam for you.
I know. I love that.
One of the reasons that I like Dante so much is because he is righteous in his the way he polices, but it's because of compassion and the calling that he has on his life. And that's the makings of a great cop. And I think that's why I like Dante so much, because Jay was righteous out of obligation and out of duty, but I feel like Dante is righteous because of compassion and a calling that he has to do this work. And I think that's the difference. I had the thought while I was watching this, he's a better Jay.
Yeah, he is. He really is. I honestly feel I like the show better. I'm having an easier time actually watching it.
Like,
now that Dante came in.
I love Jesse Lee Sofer. I do too. His character was a little boring for me, and Dante is not. It was boring, and he's fun to watch. I don't think
he was at first. I think Jay slowly got boring
because at the end it was all about him fighting against Voight, and I know. And I think once you come against Voight, for me, it's like, you're not as fun anymore.
Yeah, because I've been watching earlier seasons, and I was like, man, I loved Jay. Like, but then he just slowly kind of drifted for me. So, yeah.
And it was because he went for Voight, and I think that's really because
I'm loyal to Voight.
Yeah.
More than I'm loyal. If I had to choose between Jay and Voight, I'm choosing Voight.
Yes. Same.
Probably because I wouldn't want to die, but
I think there's only maybe 2 or 3 people on the show that I would put before Voight.
Okay.
2, maybe.
And 3. I think with these two, with this pairing, the reason I like it so much is because they're fun to watch them work together. Watch Ruzek and Torres this episode. It was fun to watch them together. It was. All I could see then was that Adam is left-handed, by the way, because you pointed it out last time. So that's all. Every time I saw it,
differently than everybody else. It's so hot.
I didn't really notice it before, but you're like, I don't know if you all noticed, but Adam's left-handed. So that's all I could see when he was on the screen holding his gun was, oh, he is. Look at that. Yes, there he is.
I just looked it up. Adam was born in 89. It's supposedly what the character was.
So he's 33.
So
we were right. Young 30s.
He should have known what a Rolodex was in a typewriter, though. That was
like 20. So,
I said late 20s, early 30s.
You
I said
late
early
20 or
30s,
30.
if not 30.
Okay.
So I still maintain that was.
Well, he's getting ready to be 34, which is probably closer to my 35 that I said second. So
Okay.
no, I'm just kidding.
But all that really matters is Maureen came in first. That's
Okay.
all that matters. But I do think that we can kind of see as we go into Bukowski that Dante had to learn Adam had his back, because Adam asked the question at one point, did you think I wouldn't have your back? And Dante was honest. Like, I didn't. And we find out.
Yeah. Why would he at the time? Because I gotta admit, Adam's when Dante first starts telling him stuff, his first interaction, I was like, Adam, like the way you're coming at this conversation at first was upsetting me. And then he like kind of reeled it back in. I'm just okay, we're good. But at first I was like, Adam, you're really out of touch with what he's trying to explain to you right now. Like, but I was proud of where we got at the end of it. So it was fine.
But I think that's why we love Adam so much too, is because if you're in Adam's unit, and he said this to other people in the unit before, if you're in his unit, he's for you. He's on your team. He's on your side, your family. That's it. He needs to know nothing else other than you are part of his unit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I like what he said. No, we are going to go investigate, and then we are going to figure out what we're going to do.
Right.
Yep.
And I think we need that. And Bukowski, just to give a little background on him, I couldn't remember what other unit he worked in, but he works in is it the gang unit? It's not the gang unit, is it?
No, it wasn't gangs. It was just, what did he say?
Because I could not remember, but I knew it wasn't gang. I knew it wasn't narcotics, but he's in a different unit, and that's how
robbery?
They know him. Maybe
robbery
and homicide.
Because he would be he seems like he was in the pawn shop a lot.
Yeah, probably
that would be robbery.
What I hated is when he walked in there and he was like, well, I'm not giving this case. I'm about to win a flat screen TV. Are you serious right now?
Yeah.
That
right there should tell you he's a bad cop.
I did not like this guy from the first time I laid eyes on him. I was like, oh, no. And he continuously peeved me off.
Can you imagine if in Voight's unit we tried to like give away a like flat screen TV for the best who closes the most cases? He would have no part of that. Like, there's no way. That's not what this is about.
Team effort.
I kind of do want this guy to go and be transferred into Voight's unit, though, just to have Voight have his way with him. Because I feel like Voight would shoot him up and spit him out so fast.
No, see, I want him to get caught being bad, and then Voight have to put him in the downstairs.
In the cage.
Don't have the cage anymore, unfortunately.
But I did really like about this too is that Torres dug in on his hunch, because this whole episode, Torres didn't say a whole lot. Dante didn't say a whole lot. What he did do a whole lot was watching very, very closely, and that he would step in when he needed to. And I liked that everywhere Bukowski went, Torres followed. Everywhere. There was even one point where he's like, you can go up front with him. No, I'm good right here. And just keep following him down, because he knows. So he dug in on it. He finds that he's right. 23 CIs. That's a lot of CIs.
Yeah.
And like Adam said, and I feel like Adam was completely right. That's either a very good cop or a very bad cop.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's like kind of hard to know, because I wonder how many CIs like Voight has.
Oh my God. Probably a lot.
Now, is Voight like
old Voight
number one?
Or is that new Voight?
Because I would imagine even someone like Adam probably has a lot.
Yeah.
Because everyone in that unit is forceful when they need to be. And I'm sure that,
but when they need to be is the key word. This guy gets CIs by being excessively forceful.
Yeah.
We can see by how he pistol whipped that guy.
Yeah. And what I love though about Dante, I don't think Dante will do that, but I still think he will be a good enough cop that it won't matter that he won't adapt to their style.
Exactly. He'll have his own, like kind of how Jay did.
Yes.
And you could see that because when Adam's like, what, you've never raised your fist to somebody? He's like, of course I have. I beat the crap out of people, but they can always hit me back. And I thought of that one episode that we all love, the end of, where he beat the crap out of that bully in his town or in his area. Like, that's who Torres is. But this one, and another thing I really liked about Torres in this episode was that when Bukowski was threatening him at the end and Voight was watching, Torres got right up in his face and he came back. He's like, everybody's watching. You might want to step back. And then how did he word it? He said, this is why I wanted to become a cop.
That line. I was like, oh my, I think I cheered. I was like, yes.
I loved that. I was like, yeah, that's my guy.
He got real close to Bukowski's face when he said that too, and got real low with his voice. And and Voight didn't interfere. And I think the reason Voight didn't interfere when he saw cause to was he watched how Dante handled himself and realized, okay,
he's
I don't
watching
need
him
to.
still.
Yeah.
But I think that
he's still sizing him up.
But no, I think that this episode, I think he saw that he doesn't need to handle Torres because Torres has got this, and Torres is going to shine in that. And I think that's why, because even when Hank walked away, he kind of went, like, raised his eyebrows and shook his head a little bit, like,
he's got this. Yeah.
Yep.
But even though Torres had reservations, they still had to work with Bukowski on this horrible case. Case.
Storyline broke me, man.
I feel like Dick Wolf has just decided that he is going to make PD like SVU, because all of a sudden these cases are like, they're on a new level that they use. I mean, every once in a while, traumatizing thrown in there that was like really terrible, but like it's been back to back to back of like these really traumatizing cases, and I'm like, oh, I don't like this. This one was bad.
I mean, it makes the show, I guess, like more exciting to watch.
It's a formula that he's seen has worked.
Yes, and you know what? If that keeps Adam Ruzek on my screen for 20 years, then cool. Like, go for it. It's fine.
I don't know. This one was very hard. I didn't expect him, I guess, to walk in the room and see her like laying on the bed like that. I couldn't imagine walking in on that and having to deal with it. But Torres, oh my,
that's what I was
the way he handled it. Phenomenal. I fell off a cliff right into a bucket of love.
He did everything right. I mean, I think, and that's what I mean, even though the scene was disgusting and really hard to watch, like it was needed for us to see exactly, I mean, just how patient and how calm. And I mean, did you notice, I mean, instantly he covered her up. That was the very first thing he did.
Yes.
And not just him, but I mean, I think Adam as well, watching how frustrated he was trying to get the guy, because he knew that husband really needed to get to her. I just think, like, I mean, everyone in this unit is just so compassionate and in tune with like these victims and these people that they're like solving the cases for. I mean, it was perfection, even though it was disgusting. So, I mean, I still really loved the scene.
Exactly. It was seeing a side of him that we haven't been introduced to very much. I mean, we're still getting to know Torres. We don't have a very close relationship with him yet. I think we're getting there very quickly.
Yeah.
I think they're doing a great job at that for making us fall in love with him.
Yeah.
There is a backstory there that I think we're going to get to soon.
I hope so.
Because he said something about how he mentioned women in his neighborhood being raped. And he mentioned something about that. And that was when they were in the store shop with that pawn owner. And he's like, girls are he raped her. And he was I mean, obviously that's an upsetting thing in general. It doesn't even matter if you know the person. Finding out someone got raped is horribly traumatizing and upsetting.
Right.
Yes.
But Torres seemed to take it on a different level of pain. Yeah. And so I think that there is some sort of backstory there that we might be getting to soon. But that's the great thing about him as a cop, is he takes that everywhere he goes, and it influences how he does his job.
Also to add insult to injury, the way Bro went in there, and
Burkowski, that's who she means.
Bro, the way that he went in there and that during that interrogation,
dude, Adam had it.
I was like flaming.
Yeah.
So mad. I was like, you just totally screwed it up.
I didn't understand why he did that.
Adam,
he was getting ready to tell you.
Yes. Why would you go in? It just shows you how untrained he is. Like, I think he's,
you know what, Voight needs to teach him the art of intimidation when it's needed. Like you only use these tactics like sometimes.
But I think part of his goal was he just wanted to see this guy arrested so he could have another arrest under his belt. So it was better for him if he didn't say anything.
Yeah.
So he was trying to get him to clam up.
Yeah.
Because he cares more about his numbers than he does about the people who are actually being affected by these perpetrators.
Exactly.
And the look on Torres's face when that happened, that's when Kevin was like, you okay?
Yeah. No, I'm not.
No, he's not okay.
No, so we figure out this is this 2-man crew. I figured it was when I I thought it was two people, the way that the scene was set up and everything. It makes sense to me. But when they came out shooting, I was like, ooh, we escalated.
Yeah.
There's too much TV in my mind. I'm like, we definitely escalated the situation.
It's escalated very quickly. Yeah.
It's gone from robbery to robbery and sexual assault.
And then to homicide. Yeah.
Homicide. I mean, and like with every single invasion, it was escalating so quickly. I was like, they gotta step on it and find these guys. And when the first guy they were interrogating, I didn't think it was him. I was like, this guy, he was good.
Yeah.
He very, very believable. And we find out that he wasn't even he was the intruder, but he wasn't the
pervert.
More dangerous one.
Yeah. The deviant.
Yeah.
One thing too, I wanted to point out that Adam has been doing this job for 10 years. He was so affected still by seeing how these two were executed.
Yeah.
He hasn't let, and that's what I love about this intelligence team is they are deeply affected by every one of these cases, even though they've been doing this job for a decade or more. They're still equally bothered every time they see senseless death.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
With this informant, that it comes to be an informant, but this guy was standing in an alleyway. As soon as we walked up to this scene, it was almost like just screaming that he was beaten by a cop. I mean,
yes,
there were like, and I feel like Torres looking around was like, it was so obvious that it was a beating by a cop while he was handcuffed. Because I'm sorry, if you're gonna get in a fight with this guy and he's gonna look like that, you're gonna at least have a couple of blows on your face too.
Yes.
I mean, it's not like this bro guy was jacked or big or anything. No.
I mean,
he would have gotten his butt beaten.
He said he fell down the stairs, and even I, who am like, I'm not a cop, I looked over at the steps and I'm like, there's no blood on the stairs. Like, he clearly didn't fall down the stairs. Like, that didn't happen.
Why was he all the way over here?
Exactly.
And then you were arrested him when he looked like that?
His feet were facing the wrong way. He was handcuffed. He had a gash in the front of his forehead.
It's like he just started making stuff up on the fly.
The thing is that Torres clocked all of that stuff the moment he walked on the scene.
Yes.
That's what intelligence.
Exactly. And that's what he does. You can see that on his face. I think that's why they created him as a quiet character, because that's what he does every time he walks into a scene is he stops and he clocks everything first.
It's almost like watching Monk. You remember how
I was thinking
Monk?
Psych.
Monk used to do that. Like he'd walk in, everybody would stand still, and he'd have to look around. It's almost what it's reminding me of. But they end up using this informant guy to find the more dangerous of the two.
Yeah. And that was another scene that I loved with Adam and Torres, that after, he went to him and they ended up talking to this witness, and they find out that, they kind of have, if they want to take down Burkowski, then this guy's probably going to go back to prison for breaking his parole. And so, I mean, Adam didn't try to push him in one direction or the other. He just laid out, these are our options, and let Dante sort of decide like which route we're going to take. I thought that was really nice.
And the heartbreaking thing there was Adam said there isn't 100% right answer, and Dante said there is. It's just the wrong result.
Yeah.
And that was dead on.
And then when he said it went fine, I laid my hand on the Bible, I swore under oath, and I lied. And you could tell that he was just broken.
It tore him
about
up
that.
to do that. Yes, it tore him up.
Yeah.
But they ended up catching the guy. Yay. Woohoo.
And
I'm glad.
He said, when Torres said, and there's still a bad cop, and Adam said, yeah, for now. And that fire in Adam, I think, is going to be ignited by Torres. And I cannot wait to see Adam start to fight this guy, because we watched Voight do it with a couple other people. Yeah. And I think now we're going to get to watch, because Adam and Voight Voight loves Adam, and Adam would do anything for Voight. And I think we're going to watch Adam start to come up in that same sort, but be a better cop than Voight was, because I don't think he's as tainted as Voight was.
No.
See,
but we're going to see Torres and Adam, I think, fight and fire each other up to take this guy down. And I can't wait to see him be taken down.
Yeah.
Does anybody else get the feeling that Voight slowly, he might not be there too much longer? Because we're seeing a lot less of him. And I feel like that's what they do whenever they're going to start, they know a character is going to be leaving. They will start doing that. And he's been in less, and maybe because I don't know if it's the break we've taken.
Yeah.
But I've also just seen so much less.
I'm assuming that, the actor himself probably doesn't want to do this field work anymore. I think he probably doesn't. But then what happens? Like, obviously we've got to promote. So would Haley take over? Because I don't want someone new to come in.
No, I think he would train up Adam to take over.
Well, I don't think he'll leave though. I think he'll take an in-house. He'll keep the same position, but he'll be more in-house if they do that. I think.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know if he can,
because
I think
Adam,
he can.
Kevin, and Kim are not even like at the same rank. Haley's the only one that ranks above them. So if someone did, it would have to be her.
Yeah, and I don't think they'll do that for a while. I think Jason Becky will stay on the show. In his role, but we won't see him in the field as much, because I was thinking that too when I saw this episode of, wow, Voight's on this a lot. But then if I think back to the case we just closed in the fall finale, he was all up in that case.
But he hadn't been, because I remember mentioning like that was the first time we had seen Voight in the field in a very long time.
Yeah. So I think he's just doing less and less.
And I think it has to do with the actor more than the character.
I do too.
They're pulling up. But I think the other reason is because there's very few characters. Like this PD has the fewest of characters that are mains than the other two Chicago shows. So there's only, if they want us to focus on it, and I think that's why they've taken it. The other thing too is that this whole season, all 10 episodes so far, 10 episodes has been character focused. They've focused on a different character every week and they hit the focus. So I think they're pulling some of the older ones back, not to discontinue them necessarily, but because they want us to focus on these other characters and their development.
Yeah. Because we are seeing a lot more of those episodes lately rather than Voight heavy.
Yeah, which is fine. But I don't know. I like a character-centric episode every once in a while, but I want an ensemble. I want some more ensemble episodes. I feel like I get less and less of those.
But I think they're doing it this way this year because there's been so much turnover and change this year.
Yes,
I don't think it'll continue. I think that they're just setting up Dante, preparing Haley, taking away Jade. I think they're just setting the pieces so we can go back to an ensemble the way we were before.
Yeah.
I really think that's the only reason why.
Yeah.
But we do get another character-centric episode next week.
Yes.
Okay, Kevin is my number 3 spot because I love Adam and Torres so much. But I love Kevin still. Like, it's not that I love Kevin less. It's I genuinely love Kevin.
He's like 5th for me, I think.
We'll see. Like, Kevin may, if we're having a Kevin-centric episode, he may take back the 3rd spot after next week. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
He could.
Because like we know my number 1 and number 2, which is really just tie for number 1, is set. Everyone else kind of flip-flops. I don't know. You're gonna talk.
Torres and Adam are 1 and 2, and they kind of go back and forth to me while I'm watching.
Yep.
Voight is my other guy. He has been since season 2, probably. I wouldn't say from the beginning. Because I came in watching PD, hating him because I had watched Fire first.
PD is the hardest one for me to like rank the people past 1 and 2. Like, because I love them all. Like,
I have a harder time with Fire.
Oh, not me.
No, I can leave half of them off, and I don't.
PD is the one that they're all like, I love that. I do love some more than others, but I love every single character on PD so much. It's hard for me to separate them. But I do remember when I first started watching PD, I was messaging in the chat, is he really going to kill that guy? Wait, is he the bad guy? Wait, am I supposed to like Voight?
Now we're like, put him in the cage. Let's do it.
No, we didn't
throw him in that river.
We didn't mention Trudy.
Her little moment with Dante was the absolute best.
How she even loves Dante. So,
but it's because Trudy can recognize a good cop. Trudy can recognize someone who is genuinely doing their job for the sake of doing their job. And so I think that she wasn't expecting the response when she said, "Is there a reason you can't do it upstairs?" And he very seriously went, "Yes."
And as soon as she was like, "Okay,
I'll do it."
Yep. but she also told him to be careful, which I like that too. Like she knows, like you gotta tread lightly on these things.
Well, I think she also instantly recognized the kind of cop he was he's not going to put up with any dirtiness. He's going to take anyone down who's going to be a bad, dirty cop. And that's dangerous in that environment. Next week's preview. Next week's preview, Kevin, we finally hear something about his parents after. And is that crazy that it's been 10 years and we don't know anything about his parents?
And I've wondered this forever because he had custody of his brother and sister. And we never heard, they never told us why.
I just kind of assumed that they were like, he came from like a very broken home with like no dad.
I thought they were dead. Like, yeah, he scared me.
The crap out of me.
Scared me, Tish. I didn't even know you got in there. Like, okay. Look, the dog back here. They're popping up everywhere. Oh, okay.
I gotta pee. Let's hurry up.
Okay. So next week we see that Kevin is at a funeral and he sees his dad. I don't remember fully because I watched it a couple days ago, but he says my dad's not a drug dealer or gangbanger or something like that. And Voight's like, "Are you sure?" And then he shows up at his dad's apartment doing the side-eye thing. So I think that we're gonna get backstory for sure. But he seemed to know enough about his dad to say he's not involved in that. But he said it with such certainty that either it's I don't want my dad to be involved in that, or no, so I know enough of him that I know.
Like, where's he been for 10 years? Like, this is so strange. I'm really intrigued by this episode. I want to know about this.
I need to know what's going on.
I kind of just assumed both of his parents were dead.
I thought they were too. Dead. Yeah.
So I wonder if maybe his mom is now dead because of his dad, and his dad just got out of prison. Maybe I don't know, something.
Yeah. That was weird. We said the same things over and over again, but okay.
So I think that because his apartment was right there in the city, because Kevin went there. So I'm excited. I am looking forward to the ensemble episodes again because I do miss watching. Like when they all crash something together is like those are my favorite scenes to watch because there's so many different pieces to watch.
I don't know where to look. I'm like, oh,
my
they're
focus.
Over here.
Yeah. But I do like. I think that this is what this whole season has been about. All of season 10 so far is getting the backstory and the characters that we've never had. I mean, again, 10 years we haven't had this information and now we're getting it. So I think that this is going to be good. I think it's going to bring us closer to Kevin because I think much too often, Kevin is a background character and he shouldn't be.
He really is. Yeah.
He should be more up front and I'm looking forward to it. So tune in. That is coming next Wednesday. It starts at 7 Central, 8 Eastern. You'll get Med first, followed by PD, followed by or Med, followed by Fire, followed by PD. Although I did hear something, was it shared in our group that they're thinking about taking away that last time slot and giving it over to local channels. So they might have PD in a different night. I read an article about that they're thinking about giving that the 9 to 10 spot to local channels. And then
why not just start an hour earlier?
Don't know. Maybe they will. Maybe that's what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Start at 6 instead of 7. I don't know. But there was talk of that. So for now, it starts at 7. You get all 3 shows right 7 Central. So you'll get them all right there. It's on NBC. Tune into that. Check out our Facebook group, One Chicago Family Fan Club. We do have a 36-hour spoiler ban up after every episode. So if you find that you cannot hold it in, we're lucky enough to have our group chat that we all of us who watch the show podcast.
Spoiler threads though, so you can definitely,
that's what I was getting ready to say, that if you can't hold it in and you need to get it out, on our spoiler thread that we have every week that we put out, all of the comments right there, check it out, start talking, rehashing. It'll be good for your soul to get it out, so check that out.
What, not this week but next week, 200th episode. Do y'all know on the 200th episode? Filming at the Burzek house, and that's where we had our Burzek family photo that I sent to the group chats. So very excited for that week.
Yay! All right, so check out those things, and next week we will be back with our One Chicago episode. We have 2 more resident episodes left to give you, and then we're going to switch over to 911 Lone Star in Chicago, so you'll get those 2 episodes every week. We've got some Netflix episodes that we're hoping to get out to you in the next month or so, all about some new shows that are going on there. So stay tuned for that. We'll see you next week. Bye, guys.
Bye. Loving our content? Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to share our podcast with your family and friends. We want to continue the conversation with you. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, or TikTok under Fandom Family Chats, or one of our ever-growing Facebook groups by searching Family Fan Club. We've also launched a website. Family Fan Club 2021 at wixsite.com. You can email us there and keep checking it for announcements and merch coming soon. And of course, be sure to tune in every week for new episodes discussing all your favorite shows.